Welcome to the Bold Book of the Day with Dr. Denise Nicholson, a show that is a central hub and safe space for authors to share their stories. The Bold Book with Dr. Denise begins now.
Hello, welcome to Bold Book of the Day. My name is Dr. Denise Nicholson, and this podcast is for anyone looking for inspiration. Today, I have the pleasure of introducing and speaking, having a great conversation back in the back. We were having a great conversation, and now I'm going to introduce you guys to the author of the Chrysalis Option. Please welcome Eric Coulson to the Bold Book of the Day podcast.
Thanks for having me, Dr. Nicholson. I really appreciate it.
Oh, Eric, it's my pleasure. So my goal is to give authors a platform to share their messages. Your message is so powerful, and you have a calling, and there's someone also waiting to get that nudge, the hope that you bring, that message that can change their lives. So my hope is to bring as many authors as possible to the forefront so they can share their message with the world, and the person that's supposed to get it, even if it's just one person, it will hit and it will change their life forever. So thank you for doing the part of showing up and writing this book. Please tell me, what gave you the idea of writing this book in the first place?
Well, so I've long been a fan of what people think of sort of the classic British thriller, the Le Carrés, the Forsyths, the Flemings, all that. And I had the opportunity. I lived in London for work for 2 years, which was just fantastic. I loved the city. I loved everything about it. And when I left, I really wanted to hold on to it. And one of the things I was changing, from my work situation, and I'd always enjoyed writing. I, wrote as a lawyer and as a foreign service officer. And I really just wanted to write initially just about the UK so I could personally hold on to it. And then I, wanted to also use this vehicle as a story, the thrillers that London is this sort of center of all this intrigue and interest. And, but I felt like, the characters that we've seen before have, it's the same old thing, frankly, right? It's a white guy with a drinking problem who goes on to solve all the problems. And I was like, you know what? I've had enough of an experience with other people that I wanted to change it up. And I decided to I'd lived in Nigeria as well, and I decided to build a character around a strong Nigerian-Britain woman who was facing a lot of challenges, and put her as the hero, the person that we could all really look up to. And then the third thing that kind of came together, I had these ideas, but then I read an article in the New York Times about how the Syrian army was was basically a drug smuggling operation as well. And I was like, I think I have the person to solve this problem. And you'll find out about a third of the way into the book. My character, Kiana Azuna, goes into Syria and takes care of that problem. I don't want to give too much away. I want you to go in and read how exciting it is. But she goes in there and, uses her power, I think, and I'm married to a woman who's a foreign service officer, and my experience has been that, women tend to be really underestimated in a lot of these typically male environments. And she uses that as one of her superpowers to get the jump on the bad guys. So yeah, those are my three things that really spurred me along.
One of the things that I like when I first saw the book cover, I was like, this girl looks like me. She looked like African-American. Even though it's a silhouette, I could tell. This girl looks, African-American. So I wonder, what made you choose African-American as opposed to, just the opposite of the white male drinker? Why not choose a white female?
Right. So this was, I started writing in 2021, and I was like looking again, a lot of British movies and TVs shows, or what my thing is, and they're frankly, a little bit more inclusive. If you watched things like the James Bond movie No Time to Die, you had a strong black woman in there. She, the same actress, Lashana Lynch, was also in The Day of the Jackal, the series that was based on the old Forsyth book. And one of my best friends, who and she made sure that I actually learned Spanish enough to graduate, was a black woman, and I just really like felt like this was a strong type of person that I really wanted to represent, and I wanted my friends to be able to look at a story like this and say, "Hey, I see myself here." So and I had several black women as my beta readers. I'm like, I don't want this to be channeled, just a white guy talking in a black woman's, edifice. I want this to be her. I want her to be. She's not me. I mean, a lot of me is in her character, no doubt, but I really wanted to bring it out in a completely different way, and I really strove for authenticity in that, because I knew that wasn't a life experience that I was, really, really familiar with on an intimate level. But I think, you see lots of artists do this, right? Not every character in a Bruce Springsteen song has been lived by Bruce Springsteen. So I really strove for that, and I've had a lot of good feedback too from people who do have that life experience. So I take that. I humbly take that those compliments. But yeah, I think this is the strongest kind of character you can generate today.
You were very specific, though. It was not, walk us through how she came to life in your mind and what made it so that it needed to be this specific. Kiana Azuna is Nigerian-British woman, and then
Right.
she became a female Royal Marine commando. What was there a moment or a person? I know you said your wife had some background in I forgot. You said
Foreign
your wife
policy.
had some foreign policy. So what made you specifically chose a Nigerian British woman Royal Marine commando, and then
Right.
that image is so, when I think of that, when I hear that, it is so powerful, so striking. Was there a moment that you saw a person and said, aha, this is the image?
Right. Yeah. So yeah, no, absolutely. And the thing is I was taking my experiences from living in Nigeria, my experiences from living in the UK, and having worked with the Royal Marines. I think if you go and look at um, Lashana Lynch and the Jackal, you'll be like, that's her. That was my sort of muse when I was thinking of her and I was getting to know her. A lot of, some people have said that there are parts of the book that start off a little slow, and that's probably fair. I had a nice review recently that mentioned that, but as an author, I was getting to know her, right? When you sat down with her every day, I didn't necessarily know it was going to happen and what she was going to reveal to me about herself. I'm working on the second one right now, and there's a little bit. It's a little bit more fast paced, which I think people will like, because we already know, now we know Kiana,
Yeah.
and we have a little less backstory. But yeah, I think if you wanted to say, hey, this is the image where Eric was like, this is her, because I think we like to visualize, things, and that is, you see Lashana Lynch in The Jackal, and I'm like, where she plays another MI6 agent. Just fantastic work by her.
We understand where you've got the idea. Now talk to me about the name. I must say, I don't know what chrysalis means. So please explain to me and the audience what is chrysalis and what is the
Sure.
chrysalis option.
So chrysalis, is a larva stage in which we go from creating a caterpillar into creating a butterfly, and
Oh, of course.
but it mostly means change. And for the
Uh-huh.
title of this book, it means it's sort of a double entendre, as it were, because she's an agent and she works in British intelligence for what I created, the Chrysalis program, which they need to make a change, and usually it's by taking a bad guy out, and that's what she does. But it's also about the change that Kiana goes through through the story, right? So she goes from uh, she's always very self assured and smart and tough, but she always, like so many of us do, who try to be high achievers, have that sense of doubt as well. And by the end of the book, she's realizes that she is enough, and she's good enough, and she deserves the things that she's getting, and she deserves to have a good life, even with all the tragedy that has followed her.
Ah, so I love the idea that the Chrysalis option is speaking to transformation and
Absolutely.
change. Do you feel like you were transformed when you lived in Nigeria and the UK?
Oh, absolutely. Those are very powerful places with really strong cultural influences. I mean, I was really, traveling around the UK was pretty easy, but I mean, I was really fortunate to be able to travel around Nigeria. I visited 16 of the, I think it's 36 states. I did a 2 week road trip around there, which is not easy, but you get to see so much and meet so many people that, yeah, it definitely, it's a challenging place to live, but I have this very strong affection for it as well, because the people there are resilient, they're tough, and they're working to make their lives better despite a lot of obstacles in their way.
So you lived there for a while and you traveled the 16 states in 2 weeks?
Yeah. So I lived there for 2 years, but I did a road trip around the country. There were a couple of places we, flew from one place to another to, meet other vehicles. But yeah, um, it was quite the journey around the country, and I became the Igbo tribe of southeastern Nigeria, which is mostly in southeastern Nigeria. Um, is if you're familiar with the Biafran War, that was their struggle for independence, and um, which they ultimately, unfortunately, lost. But the Biafran War um, uh, continues to like influence how Nigeria operates and what the people there go through, particularly in the southeast. I went to at the governor of Ebonyi State. Uh, I was privileged to be made an Igbo chief. It's not hereditary in Igbo land, and so people with the right rank can make other people chiefs. And so I'm very proud of the fact that I am associated with the Igbo tribe.
So you experience the culture firsthand. You were a part of their ceremonies, and you got to see and feel and live some of the things that Kiana would have experienced as as a Nigerian.
Yes, absolutely. And so when you read the Chrysalis option, you will every place in the UK and in Nigeria are places that I've actually walked. So, when you go to the airfield in Owerri, or you go to the hotel in Port Harcourt, I've been to all of those places, and tried to bring those to life for the reader.
So tell me one of the One of the experiences that you had, I know you talked about, your experience with the Igbo tribe, but tell me of one of the experiences that you had while you were doing your 2 week travel that was more striking than the 2 years that you lived there.
So I think we pulled into a town in, and I would have to look up the name of the town, but we're driving in armored black Suburbans, and we needed gas, and the number of people who came out just to see what was going on. Um, the Nigerian people were always interested in who wanted to come and see them, and we actually had a little bit of difficulty leaving because just everyone wanted to talk to us about what we were doing there, and you just got met with lots of friendliness and lots of like, hey, and we get invited to a lot of places that we didn't have time to go to because we actually were on a diplomatic tour of the country. But it was the constant number of people who would come out. They would drop what they were doing to see, who these visitors to their town, their village, or their city were. It was fantastic.
Oh, fascinated. So the mission was to go into this new place and do research, or were you there for work or personal experience?
So it was all work related. I was with the U.S. government at the time, and we had our senior official had sort of made a promise to the president that he was going to go travel around the country and see see what was going on firsthand, so that we could talk about that he could talk with the president about things that hopefully the U.S. and of course this is several years ago, but that we could do to work hand in hand with the Nigerians to help improve their economy, and things like that. I mean, and there are things that the Nigerians do exceedingly well that people don't know about. I mean, their own ability to respond to the viruses like Ebola have also led to they having an excellent, just a medical system or medical information. The medical
Mm-hmm.
system is still very poor, and there are a lot of problems with that, but they do have the baseline knowledge for a lot of things that if they had the money, because it's such a rapidly growing country, right? I mean, I think it's over 200 million now. It's the largest nation by population in Africa. So, they do have a lot of skills that, if properly harnessed, could be a huge economic engine.
So how did you, because from the notes that I have about the Chrysalis option, Kiana had a younger sister and she had to like be the caregiver or take care of her younger sister. She had
Right.
yeah, she had a powerful relationship, as the elder sister. How did you come up with this contrast of the Kiana sister and the younger sister, and managing their emotions, and how did you come up with that?
So I wanted to uh, give Kiana some family that she had was a really high stakes relationship with, and that is, so after being orphaned, having a younger sister who she was responsible from a very early age, really gave it that high level of stakes, and that like the feeling of responsibility, and the something that she really needed to drive her from a really early age. And I wanted to contrast, so I wanted to make her just so strong and protective that Ngozi, her younger sister, didn't necessarily grasp everything that she was being protected from. So, which would also become plot points in the book. So I was really looking for some sort of relationship to create for her that was, outside of a romantic relationship, something that would really could get to the core of who Kiana was and who she really cared about.
You managed
And I thought a sibling was very helpful.
Yeah, you managed their emotions so well. I wanted to know your story. So tell me your story. What made this so real? Because it must be coming from within, right?
Right. Well, I mean, I grew up moving. Actually, I grew up moving around the country because my mom didn't. My mom used moving as a way to deal with her challenges, and it was, mostly my sister and I together trying to learn new places, new routines, and what have you. And it was at that age that I actually sort of disappeared into this style of book. So I definitely, and my sister and I were just different in age, not quite as much as Kiana and Ngozi, but we're just different enough in age that she just knew she was along for the ride. I thought I actually had some agency in determining this for us. So there's definitely some of my sister and I in this as well. Although we weren't orphans and what have you. But yeah, it was trying to manage those relationships.
I get it. I can see, why the strong emotions. And so tell me, I'm a little curious about your sister's feeling towards you writing about these characters. Did she see herself in Ngozi?
I think we've talked. This isn't really her genre, but I think
Okay.
that she does. She really enjoyed the book. She really embraced it and has been super supportive of the effort. I think we talked some about that, and she, I think, appreciates the fact that my life and thus her life did make it onto the page.
Hmm. Tell us a little bit more about the mission for Kiana in Afghanistan and how that goes tragically wrong and was also, as wrong as it was, the turning point for the whole for Kiana herself.
Right. So I set this in the withdrawal from Afghanistan, and they are on a mission to her Royal Marine unit is on a mission to eliminate a Taliban commander who has been pushing opium and what have you, and everything is going according to plan until after they've actually shot the commander, and then just as because these things so often happen in villages, just as they're getting ready to withdraw, two little girls come out of one of the huts or in the village, and they've just called in an airstrike And she knows if she doesn't do something, then those little girls are going to get killed. And so this all goes wrong because she delays their withdrawal because she's trying to save these little girls. And this is part of a recurring theme you're going to see in the book, because this goes back to the accident that kills her parents, and where she starts having to take care of Ngozi. So it becomes, a pattern that she needs to try and take care of the less fortunate, and someone that she needs to be a protector of. So yeah, that's where it all goes wrong, and her two of her best friends get killed as a result of her waiting to get them out of there. So it creates a lot of dramatic emotional effect for her.
Great job with the writing of this book, because I saw that reviewers are placing you alongside giants like Ian Fleming, Robert Ludlum, and Frederick Forsyth. Like, how do you feel being compared to those people, and you a first-time novelist?
Well, so I mean, it's a huge compliment, obviously. I mean, I'm really proud of the book. I mean, it was been a lot of effort, and certainly those writers are some of the people that I read repeatedly over the last 40 years, and I hope that I've given some sort of honor and rejuvenation and expansion to the genre. I know it's good, and the person who like really helped me the most, I think, and it was my wife. And a lot of people will say, well, yeah, your wife's always going to say it's good. My wife and I went to law school together, and she's brutal with the red pen. And and it's because she wouldn't want me to put something out that wasn't good, right?
Yeah.
She wouldn't want me to be embarrassed by it. So, whenever I have any self-doubt, which I think all of us artists tend to do, I just know that she would never have let me put something out, or she would have at least said, you're going to be embarrassed by this. Don't do X. So yeah, I think it's great. I'm really proud of it. And it's certainly when people start throwing those names around, it's very humbling, but I hope people enjoy the Chrysalis Option.
What's your message and goal for, what do you want reader to take away from this book?
So I think there's, as I told, at my book launch, first of all, I hope you just enjoy a great thriller, but I also hope that you get to know places like the UK and Nigeria, and how interesting and exciting they can be. And finally, I just say, I think representation matters, right? And that's I think there's always lots of discussion in art about who can play what, and who can, and what role is appropriate for this person or that person. And I really wanted people to say, oh, I can look at someone different and be like, oh, but that person can be my role model, my hero, just someone I want to emulate. Because I come from a background where all those people were already written for me, right? And I wanted to share that with people I care very much about.
So you were intentional about the protagonist not being white male,
Right.
And that's the message, that our heroes,
Right.
they don't need to look like the everyday white male.
Right.
But how do you feel that message is going to translate to a different community? So yes, one community is getting it and saying, yes, thanks for representation matters, and the other community saying, oh my goodness, you're taking so much away from us.
Right. So, I mean, I think, it's a fair question, right? And I think we all, have to deal with those tensions. And, a piece of art isn't going to appeal to every single person as well. I think, I wrote a good book. I've been transparent about what I hope people will get out of it. And there are going to be some people who are like, this isn't realistic, or he shouldn't be writing about us or whatever. And they're perfectly entitled to those opinions. I'm not going to change everyone's point of view, but I know I've expanded a lot of people's minds. Just friends of mine who, they were like, oh, I would have never have thought about this person in this role, and they're like, but it's great and I love it. And that's the most
Yeah.
you can hope for, I think, really.
Yeah. It was just good for me as a Black woman to see it. I've been a fan of this genre. I've been reading, investigation or that kind of sci-fi books from a very young age, and they none of them look like none of them look like our girl Kiana. So thank you. Representation matters. I felt good just to see it. And funny enough, I this was my very first trip to the UK. It was very brief, but I just got back 2 days ago from the UK.
Oh wow.
And yeah, and the the mixture of the community, the different cultures, I loved it. I loved that the food was different. I think we went to a Jamaican restaurant. We also went to an Indian restaurant. We also went to a Persian restaurant. And
Yep.
just to see that it was welcoming. It was welcoming to be on another side of the world. I am from here in the United States. I am from Jamaica originally, but I grew up here in the United States. It was my first visit, and it was beautiful to see. So I do encourage people to leave your comfort zone and go to another country and just,
Absolutely.
yeah, immerse yourself in the community and try to eat in a different place and eat different from you've been eating at home, because yeah, it does something to you. It really it
Absolutely.
opens up your eyes. Yeah. So thank you for that. If it's just one thing I got from it, it was powerful enough to see Kiana on the cover. I was like, that girl looked like me, honey. She got my nose, everything.
Excellent. That really makes me happy.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much for doing your part in just exposing us and giving us a platform.
My
Now,
pleasure. Thank you for having me.
now, your peers really opened up and welcomed you and welcomed the difference, the game that you wanted, or the message that you wanted to share with people, was that your heroes don't have to look like you. And your peers, they your white male, they appreciated this message because you were selected by Gary Trudeau of Doonesbury for his military anthology, and that is up and coming, right?
Yeah, that's a few years old. That was from when I was serving in Iraq. So that was
Yeah.
a couple of years old. But yeah, that's that was a great honor to be selected to be part of that project.
And so, do you think the lesson for the people who are reading that book is the same? Like, your heroes don't have to look like you?
Oh yeah, if you read The Sandbox, you'll definitely see, a lot of real life experiences that are by, the U.S. military is a huge, diverse organization, and so you're going to see lots of people and lots of experiences in that you wouldn't necessarily expect. Absolutely.
Thank you. Now, where can we find your book?
So I've just received word that it's actually sold out at the International Spy Museum. I hope they're restocking it. That's always my first plug because they've hosted me and they've been so nice. It is available on Amazon.com, both in ebook and hard copy. Bookshop.org helps you support small independent booksellers. So that's always a good one. And you can also buy it at Barnes and Nobles. So it's all available online at all of those places.
All right, you heard it here. For everyone listening, the Chrysalis Option by Eric Coulson is available now on Amazon. It's in Kindle and paperback, and it's also wherever books are sold because that's a lot of stuff.
Right.
But if you just Google his name and the Chrysalis Option, you'll find it's easy to get. Okay, so please support him. Grab your copy. Leave a review because reviews are important, and share this episode with someone who just loves a great thriller like myself and is ready for a new kind of hero like Kiana. Now, do you have a community where people that loves thriller come to and get to, air their perspectives?
Yeah, sure. So you can always find me on Facebook under my name. It's a public page. It's all about the Chrysalis Option and my writing. So you will be seeing some updates on the next book here soon. You can go to my Linktree to get in touch with me. Linktree Coulson Writes, and you can also find me at coulsonwrites.com.
I don't want you to give away how the book ends, but I know that the book ends with hope. Can you give us a little insight of the hope that Kiana had at the end of the last chapter?
Sure. So the hope is that she realizes that she doesn't have to prove herself to these organizations and systems and other people all the time, that Kiana is enough, and that she and her sister can move forward in a new and healthier way.
Thank you so much. Eric, this has been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so
Right.
much for sharing Kiana with us, with me. I'm blown away because,
Well,
I'm blown away because I have been reading thrillers for a long time. And maybe it's because of my own lack of research that I have not found that a white male has written a book, similar to this. So I will blame myself, but I'm blown away that you had the idea and you brought it forth. This is your first novel,
yes.
and I'm looking forward to diving in and getting everything that you intended for me as, the person that you are representing. So thank you so much for making that decision and doing that. I appreciate it so much. And as an author, I know that you had to sacrifice a lot of time, a lot of research, and a lot of yourself to bring this to life. So thank you for your part. This has just been a beautiful, beautiful conversation. So thank you for being here today. A hero who has, I think you're now a hero for me.
Well, thank you very much. That's very kind of you. I've really enjoyed it, and it means a lot to hear that how much it's meant to you. So thank you so much.
And for everyone listening, please go out and grab your copy of the Chrysalis Option. We have said so many different places that you can get it, but if you just Google Eric Coulson, you can find the book, and have one delivered to you. You can gift it to a friend. If you're not a reader and you're listening, then gift it to a friend. Or if this is not your genre, then gift this thriller to a friend, because especially if you know a Black woman, so that she can see a hero represented in really great form. Thank you for listening. My name is Dr. Denise Nicholson, And if you are writing a book and you just don't know how to complete it, I have a writing incubator, and we meet every week to give you accountability and to give you a space that you can have your questions answered. So if that's you and you're writing your book, please join us in the writing incubator. You can send your email to authordnicholson@gmail.com, or you can follow me on the social media platforms like Instagram at the same author Denise Nicholson, on TikTok, all across. It's author Denise Nicholson. And so if you're writing, I would love to help you get your book idea out of your head and onto paper. Thank you so much. Please go out there and support Eric. And thank you, Eric, for being such a great person to interview and for writing this amazing book.
Thank you for joining us for the Bold Book of the Day with Dr. Denise Nicholson, a central hub and a safe space for authors to share their stories. Follow Dr. Denise on Facebook and Instagram at Denise Nicholson, or go to denisenicholson.com. Remember, no one can share your story better than you.